Okay, we're going to be looking at what roots and graphs mean for quadratic equations. The previous assignment from last Friday, you were using the graph to find the roots. The roots are the x-intercepts, right? When you have there's my x and my y, if you have a parabola, whatever it looks like, the roots are the x-intercepts, okay? So if we have the roots, how can we get to the quadratic equation? Now with the calculator, you didn't have to do anything to get the roots. You used the calculator to get them. But before we had an equation, how did we get the roots? Like if you had x squared plus, let's say 4x plus 4, and you set that equal to 0, and then you had to factor it and solve. So this would factor be x plus 2 and x plus 2, and then you would set them equal to 0. So the root would be negative 2. And the other root would also be negative 2. Right? They're exactly the same, so you'd have a double root. You would have just 2 x equals 0, or x equals negative 2's. So what we're doing is going backwards. We're starting with the root, and we want to find the equation. So if we've got this root here, we want to say, okay, that's going to equal x, negative 4/3, and then I kind of undo this and make it equal 0 again. So I'm going to multiply by 3. I'm going to have 3x equals negative 4, because those 3's will cancel. And then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And I have 3x plus 4 equals 0. So there is one of my factors. The other factor comes from the other root. So x equals 2 is the other root. And you just have to subtract 2 on this one. There's no multiplying. So we just have x minus 2 equals 0. So there's another root. And then I just multiply those roots together. So I have x minus 2 times 3x plus 4. And then I will have my quadratic. So just distribute this. X times 3x will be 3x squared. X times 4 will be 4x. Negative 2 times 3x will be negative 6x. Negative 2 times 4 will be negative 8. And then combine those like terms in the middle. So I have 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. And there is my quadratic. All right, so use your roots and work your way backwards to get to the equation. So for these two, where it says sketch a graph for each quadratic equation and find the zeros, you're basically doing what you were doing yesterday with Desmos. I think I said calculator earlier, but yeah, you guys were using Desmos. You could have used the calculator, but Desmos makes it easier. So you want to get this equal to 0, and then you can do the same thing you were doing on Friday. So if I move both the 5k, negative 5k, and the 18 over, it's going to be 2k squared plus 5k, and then minus 18. Remember, change the signs when you go across the equal. Now it's equal to 0. Now I can graph it and find the zeros. Just draw a rough sketch of a graph. It doesn't have to be anything perfect. Numbers 7 and 8, you're doing the same thing as the 5 and 6. Get them equal 0 and use the graphing calculator or Desmos to find the zeros and draw a sketch of the graph. Numbers 9 and 10, you're kind of combining them. It says make a graph and quadratic equation that has the given roots. So here are your roots. Use the roots just like number 1 to find the zero or to find the equation, and then graph it on a graph. All right. If you have any questions, send me emails or sign up for a time to meet with Google Meet.